A long time ago, in a small forgotten village, far from the noise and lights of the city, there lived a boy named George. He was no one special in the eyes of the world, just a poor village boy with a torn shirt, bare feet, and dreams too big for the small world around him. Every morning, he walked 5 long kilometers to school. The road was dusty, full of sharp stones that cut his feet, but he never stopped. The sun burned his skin, the rain soaked him, but George kept walking because he believed that every painful step would one day take him closer to his dream. At night, when the village slept, George sat outside his small mud house and stared at the stars. Their home was always dark because they had no electricity. His mother sold sweet potatoes in the market from morning to night, her hands cracked and tired. George would watch her struggle under the flicker of a weak candle and whisper to himself, "I will bring her light one day." That thought became his mission. He didn't dream of money or fame, he dreamed of building a lamp from the sun, a light that would never die. He began collecting broken things, old batteries, twisted wires, pieces of broken radios, metal scraps from the roadside. People laughed at him, calling him the junk boy. They thought he was wasting his time. But George didn't see garbage, he saw possibilities. Every night after school, he sat on the floor, surrounded by scraps, trying to make something work. His hands were cut and dirty, his stomach empty, but his heart was full of determination. His first lamp failed miserably, the battery overheated, smoke filled the room, and the paper on the table caught fire. His second attempt didn't even light up. The third one broke apart on the morning of the school's science contest. The other children laughed. "You'll never make anything," they said. "You should just sell sweet potatoes like your mother." George wanted to cry, but even through his sadness, he didn't stop. That night, he walked to the butcher and asked for old newspapers. The man laughed but gave him a pile. George took them home and read by candlelight. The articles told stories of great inventors who had failed hundreds of times before succeeding: Edison, Tesla, Bell. He realized failure wasn't the opposite of success. It was the path to it. The next day, George went to an old electrician who lived on the edge of the village. "Sir," he said, "I want to learn. I want to help my mother. I want to build a lamp." The old man looked at the boy's dirty hands, but saw something bright in his eyes. He smiled and said, "Then don't stop, son. No matter what happens, don't stop." Those words stayed in George's heart like fire. He started working harder than ever. He built small circuits, tested wires, and learned everything the electrician taught him. His fingers bled, but he didn't complain. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The villagers mocked him, but George kept working. One day, his teacher announced that a rich merchant was coming to the school. His company wanted to reward the best young inventor. The class was excited. Everyone began preparing, but George stayed quiet. After so many failures, he wasn't sure he could face another one. That evening, he sat quietly under a tree. His best friend Maya came to him and said softly, "George, this is your time. You have to try again." He looked down and said, "What if I fail again?" Maya smiled. "Then you'll try again. You always do." Her words gave him strength. That night, George stayed awake, fixing the circuits. He took every broken wire, every piece of metal, every glass scrap he could find. He worked without food, without sleep, and when dawn arrived, something miraculous happened. The small bulb flickered once, twice, and then stayed on. It glowed steadily, bright and pure. George couldn't believe it. He had done it. He had created light from trash. The next morning, he carried the lamp carefully to school in a small box. The merchant arrived in a big car, wearing a gold watch and a proud smile. The teacher introduced him, and one by one, the students showed their projects: a paper house, a toy car, a drawing. When George's name was called, everyone turned to look. He walked forward quietly, placed his small lamp on the table, and said, "This is my solar lamp. It runs on sunlight. I built it from broken radios and wires." The merchant raised an eyebrow. "From the garbage?" he asked. "Yes," George said. "From the garbage." Then he flipped the switch. The lamp turned on, and the room filled with warm golden light. The merchant stared and then slowly smiled. "This," he said, "is what we are looking for." George won the competition. The next day, a newspaper wrote about him, the poor boy who built light from trash. The merchant's company gave him a scholarship to study in a big school. But his happiest moment wasn't the prize, it was that evening when he took the lamp home, placed it on the table, and saw his mother's face shine under its glow. She smiled and cried at the same time. Their house, once dark, was now full of light. Neighbors came to see it. Children studied under it. Mothers cooked without struggling in the dark. George hadn't just built a lamp, he had brought hope to his village. Years passed. George grew up, studied, and became a great inventor. But whenever people asked him what his proudest creation was, he would smile and say, "My first solar lamp," because it was made with love. And that's the truth about life. Success doesn't come from comfort. It comes from struggle. The people who win are not those who never fall, they are those who rise again every single time they fall. Maybe right now you're struggling. Maybe life feels heavy. Maybe people are laughing at your dream. But if there's still a spark inside you, don't let it die. Keep believing, keep building, keep walking forward. You don't need luck. You don't need money. You just need courage and faith. Because one day, all your pain and effort will turn into light for someone else. The people who change the world aren't the ones who have everything. They're the ones who build something from nothing. So no matter how many times you fall, no matter how tired you are, get up, wipe your tears, fix what's broken, try again. Because one day, when your moment comes, people will look at your journey and say the same words the merchant said to George. "This is what we were looking for." And when that day comes, you'll realize that every step, every scar, and every failure was leading you to that moment. Because in the end, the most powerful words you can ever say are these: "I will not give up." And when you live by those words, your light, like George's, will never fade.